Welcome to A Tale of Two Cities, a special series on WION. The series will deconstruct the history, the growth and the future of world cities in an ever-changing socio-economic landscape. We'll explore the many ways in which our cultures, built environments and pasts are interlinked. Dikshu Kukreja is an architect and an urban planner with a degree from Harvard who's shaping up the urban landscape of modern India with his practice, C P Kukreja Architects. Join him as he sets sail on a journey to 8 cities of the world, talking to presidents, prime ministers, mayors, and reimagining what could possibly bring two cities closer together. Today, he looks at Rotterdam in Netherlands and Kochi in India. Let's go over to Dikshu and see what he has in store for us.
Tale of Two Cities thus far has been a march towards knocking down pales in the sand that stand separating us. Today, I am happy to bring to you Rotterdam and Kochi. Very few of us are aware that the Netherlands, known as the Dutch East India Company, had its presence in parts of India for more than 200 years. Today, Rotterdam and Kochi are important seaports and commercial centers. Both enrich and elevate the socio-economic conditions of the surrounding regions by catalyzing trade and tourism. Today, Rotterdam is looked upon as the successful city owing to the experimental urban planning interventions that have taken place here. Kochi, despite the cyclical change in power, ideologies and cultural paradigm shifts, has retained its values from the days of old. The architecture here stands witness to the awesome story of Kochi as it is and as was once captured in the eyes of seafaring men who came to the green acres of Malabar for trade but stayed for so much more. We have in our midst to compare notes on the two cities the Mayor of Rotterdam, Mr. Ahmed Aboutaleb. Thank you very much for giving your time for this and for being able to bring our two cities of Rotterdam and Kochi in India closer. Kochi, the Queen of the Arabian Sea, from ancient times has been a melting pot of influences from different parts of the world, including the Dutch. As a result, a sense of history lingers and has helped shape the multiculturalist identity of the city. While Kochi has been at the receiving end of all these influences, Rotterdam and the Netherlands at large have set out on great journeys and influenced far reaches of the world. Your excellent outreach with countries all over the world, including being an active member of the C40 cities and the 100 resilient cities of the world, is a fine example of the same. How have the cultural values of Rotterdam been influenced by years of exploration and partnering with global communities?
Well, thank you for having me. There are positive elements of being a global city, having open borders with the world. Rotterdam used to be a city with the largest port in the world for many years, after the Chinese began to build ports with bigger numbers. Being a port city, collaborating with a lot of cities in the world to create wealth and to create an income for people and to create, by doing that, international friends and collaboration. So the international orientation of the Netherlands and of my city, my port, nowadays is a very positive contributor, but we have also a black page in the history concerning the role of Dutch maritime traders in slavery.
I think that is something very interesting actually about port cities around the world, that how they've been really the gateways to bringing in different kinds of migrants, different kinds of communities, and becoming a melting pot. When I visited Netherlands some time back, it actually happened to be on Queen's Day. And I was astonished to see the kind of celebrations that happen in the city at that time. From a city which will have an ex-population, say 1 million people, it turns out where you have visitors from all over the world, 3 times the population of the actual city. And it turns into an entire carnival, cars are off the road, and it was an amazing experience for me to witness that Queen's Day. Tell us a little bit more about the festivities that go on in Rotterdam.
The King's Day on April 27th is always a symbol of unity. People are doing all type of activities in the public space. All these people have the same engagement. We are united under one constitution and one majesty. And I think that's really a powerful instrument. But we celebrate also diversity in a variety of manners. Outside Latin America, I think we're one of the cities in Europe with the beautiful summer carnival. It's in my city. It's really a big event where hundreds of thousands of people are coming to be part of it. The music industry, dancing industry, it's all big happiness. 2 main festivals during 2 religious moments. The Diwali is a big event in Rotterdam with the Hindu community. And I think we give it all space and sometimes we financially support that to make it happen. And we have the Kitty Koti, which is celebrating the end of slavery. That's a commemoration under my leadership with speeches, but also a march in the city where the late descendants of slavery, people from Africa, but also people from Latin America, the former colonies, Suriname, Curacao, are marching in the streets to mark the end of this slavery. So it's all available in the city. I think we have some 70 big events in Rotterdam per year. So it's a big thing.
So, you know, that's another interesting aspect which I see very common between Rotterdam and Kochi. Because Kochi also, like Rotterdam, being so multicultural in its influence, and right from the Portuguese who landed there in 1503 to the Dutch who came there 150 years later, and 2 centuries later were the British. So that in itself, besides the trade that brought in the Jewish and the Chinese and so many other communities there, that there's that real strong level of multiculturalism in Kochi as well. And that is seen in society today, that is seen in the way festivities are celebrated in Kochi. But one of the other aspects which both these cities, I would say, face as a challenge today is the fact of climate change and being able to adapt to climate change. And again, the 2 cities have actually been at the forefront of being able to take certain actions. Netherlands, Rotterdam in particular, has also had lots of those aspects where it is seen and regarded world over as being a vanguard in terms of tackling climate change. Tell us a little bit more about your initiatives there.
So to survive here, we have been forced over the years to build high quality dikes and levees. So you may have the water here and people living here, -6 meters. So the only thing to do to survive here is to build levees to counter the water and to keep the water on its place. That's why we invest a lot of money every year, mainly unseen by citizens. Just in my city and my region, we're talking about approximately 1 billion euros a year in maintaining the dikes and levees and making them stronger and stronger. Fighting against Mother Nature is not always a recipe for success. Mother Nature is stronger than anything else. Wind, water, rain, and sun. So we're facing a tremendous amount of challenges when it comes to water and water safety, knowing that my city is very vulnerable and it is partly -6 meters. The city hall where I now sit in is -2 meters. So we are good in building dikes and levees, but on the other hand, also to create storage systems, water storage systems in the city by building water plazas, and also underneath parking garages to have space for safeguarding the water during rainfall. And also we built outside the city border, I think we're the most stupid city in the world to finance a project outside the borders of the city, a rowing lane, where we may collect some 4 million liters of water. That's all done to prevent that the city of Rotterdam is subject to flooding. So we'll work technologically on doing that. On the other hand, huge investments are underway in the port, but also outside the port to work on climate issues like green roofs, solar systems, windmills. We have one of the windmills in the port making 12 megawatts of electricity.
So I think while the world is grappling with this aspect of climate change and we really need to wake up and address, I think coastal cities tend to be even more vulnerable, and therefore it becomes extremely important. But on another note altogether is the aspect, as an architect, I've been really fascinated with how Rotterdam has been the hotbed of architecture, of modern architecture. And I know that 1/3 of the city, or maybe even more than that, was destroyed by the Nazis during the World War. And after that, how Rotterdam took this approach of not just doing an old-fashioned conservationist approach of recreating or rebuilding exactly the same style of architecture, but it went forward and created a very modern vocabulary. So tell us a little bit more about the approach towards always creating this new breakthrough, iconic architecture that Rotterdam believes in.
The Second World War was devastating for the city. While one of the 5 or 6 cities in the Netherlands that faced huge bombardments, stupid bombs, killing a lot of people, but also burning the entire downtown. And the ones that enter a war have no idea how to finish it and have no idea what the devastation will be for human beings. That's the most stupid thing. So let me say that as a politician. On the other hand, that opportunity gave a lot of space for the architects, the city developers, and the engineers to rethink the composition of the city. Where to build high-rising buildings, what to do with schools, what to do with green space, what to do with playgrounds, what to do with social environment, like having a doctor over there. If not, you build a huge tower with, let's say, 300 houses with kids, and then the parents must leave the city downtown in the morning with 300 cars to bring the kids to the outskirts of the city to go to school. Now, we want to have even school in the same surroundings to reduce the amount of movements done by car. And if you move in the city, you do that by public transport. So we have ideas about how the city is compositioned, and now we have the endeavor as actual government to reduce the influence of the car in the public space, to make a city that's more for the people that walk, people that cycles, to make it downtown as a city lounge for the ones they enjoy theaters or to go to the movie or to go shopping, to make it really an attractive, livable place, and to reduce the influence of the car.
Right. So in that sense, the way the architecture in Rotterdam has been very open, inviting to be able to experiment with new ideas. I think what's interesting in Kochi, in a little different way, is the fact that Kochi has been able to absorb, literally like a sponge, different cultural influences and reflect that in its architecture. So whether you travel around Kochi, you see the precinct of the Jewish quarter, then you see the influence of the Dutch, so you see the Dutch palaces, you see the Portuguese forts, and all these kind of very interestingly coexist. When we started doing research about Tale of Two Cities, Kochi and Rotterdam, and there are layers after layers which you see of influences that are there between the two. For example, once the Dutch had landed up in Kochi, there are so many paintings that have been done by Dutch masters of the Kochi landscape. And here in Kochi, we see the Dutch influence in terms of agriculture, very importantly in terms of port construction and how they helped develop Kochi as a port. So I think there are lots and lots of similarities. But if you were to look at it, where do you see this kind of history going back almost 300 years or more between the two cities?
I'm lucky to be mayor in a city where a scientist, an economic scientist, got a Nobel Prize for a very fascinating economic thesis, arguing that sharing equals multiply. A lot of people think that sharing means you will have less if you share with others, but his opinion was you get more if you share with others. And that is, I think, the notion of modern leadership, leading cities or countries, that if you share, you create an opportunity for all of us to grow. And India has, to me, a fascinating leader ever. I think without any precedent, to show the world how important it is to be tolerant and to share. That is Mahatma Gandhi. To me, still years after his death, and unfortunate his assassination is, to me, still a big symbol of working on tolerance. And my city has another scientist, the Erasmus. Read about him, you will get a fascinating notions about tolerance and how important it is to provide space for the others to grow. And that a city or a nation will never grow if you suppress your minorities, or you suppress women, or if you suppress people with other sexual orientation. But a neutral government must provide space for all of us to grow. India is striving to become one of the global players in the world. And I think you have right to have that ambition, as you are also the biggest democracy in the world.
I would like to ask you one question here. How has it, you feel, a city like Rotterdam or a country like Netherlands, how does it allow really the opportunity for citizens to prosper? Because you went on to become an engineer and then a member of the Labour Party, and from there on, you are here today as a mayor of Rotterdam. So where do you see that cities, as many say, can be the engines of growth?
I was born in Morocco in a very poor family, but that never was dictating my destiny. Once in the Netherlands, I found a system that is really open to finance my education, to get financial support for education, to get an opportunity to rise in the educational system. I found a political system that was open for my talents. It was not only that I was given a chance within the Labour Party to participate, but I also something also to tell to the Labour Party. It was both sides. Smart cities don't exist. You cannot create smart cities by thinking that your bridge is smart, or cables are smart, or beautiful buildings are smart. Stones remain stupid. The only thing that is smart is citizens. And the only way to do that is to invest in citizens. And education is the primary tool to develop talents. That's why also in my policy in Rotterdam, the focus is on education.
That's wonderful. I think what we've been able to discover today as we've undertaken this journey of Kochi and Rotterdam is that there are so many aspects and similarities that exist, have always existed between them, and a world of opportunities that is there for people between these two cities, between the two countries. And as long as the opportunity is presented to them, I think there is only prosperity that comes with it. So thank you so much, Mayor, for spending your time with us.
Thank you.
Kochi has a reputation as a city that fosters new innovations and solutions for its own betterment. It was the first city in India where traders and travelers from across the world set foot, including Vasco da Gama, who was the first European to arrive in India. Kochi is also the world's first city to have a completely solar-powered airport. Similarly, Rotterdam is recognized world over for offering great solutions to our great common catastrophe, that is climate change. Both cities are significant industrial seaports, and that has dictated the ebb and flow of the cultural currents here. While the Dutch masters like Vermeer, Rembrandt and Moore showed the world a new lens through which to look at life, Kochi today has put India on the world map of art, design and creative thinking by establishing the most sought-after contemporary art festival called the Kochi Biennale. The alliance between the Netherlands and Kochi goes back half a millennium. While trade and commerce brought the two together in the past, the shared endeavor today is our common fight against climate change. Rotterdam and Kochi proved to be fine examples of cities taking positive steps towards the future and blazing trails for people all over the world.